Good evening. It's Thursday, the 18th of September, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Legal battle. Families file US lawsuit against Boeing and Honeywell over fatal Air India crash. Military aid. Zelenskiy confirms first US weapons supply funded by NATO allies under new mechanism. Lucky winner. Women wins massive lottery using ChatGPT to pick numbers and donates entire fortune to charity.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Prithika Sivakumar.
Good evening once again. Families of 4 victims of the June Air India Flight 17 crash have filed a US lawsuit against Boeing and Honeywell. They allege faulty fuel switches caused the crash, which killed 260 people. The suit claims the manufacturers ignored known risk, failing to prevent the fatal accident.
The lawsuit centers on the design and placement of the fuel cutoff switches in the Boeing 787. The plaintiffs argue that the switches were positioned in a manner that made them susceptible to accidental activation during routine cockpit operations. They point to a 2018 FAA advisory that recommended inspecting the locking mechanisms of these switches to prevent inadvertent movement, though it was not a mandatory directive. The families contend that both Boeing and Honeywell failed to heed these concerns, leading to the tragic incident. Preliminary findings from India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau suggest that the throttle control module, which houses the fuel switches, was replaced in 2019 and 2023. Despite these replacements, the AAIB noted that Air India did not follow the FAA's advisory to inspect the switches' locking mechanisms. Cockpit recordings indicate that the captain may have inadvertently moved the fuel switches to the cutoff position shortly after takeoff, leading to engine power loss. However, some aviation experts argue that the switch's design makes accidental activation unlikely. This lawsuit marks the first US legal action related to the Air India crash. Legal experts note that plaintiffs often target manufacturers like Boeing and Honeywell as they do not enjoy the same liability protections as airlines. By filing in US courts, the families aim to leverage a legal system perceived to offer greater compensation potential. The case underscores ongoing concerns about aircraft safety and the responsibilities of manufacturers in ensuring the reliability of critical components.
Taiwan has unveiled the Barracuda 500, its first jointly developed cruise missile with US defense firm Anduril Industries. Showcased at the Taipei Aerospace and Defense Technology Exhibition, the low-cost autonomous missile aims to bolster Taiwan's defense capabilities amid escalating tensions with China.
The Barracuda 500 represents a significant step in Taiwan's defense strategy, emphasizing self-reliance and technological advancement. Developed in partnership with Anduril Industries, the missile is designed for group attacks on warships, resembling explosive drones. This collaboration underscores Taiwan's commitment to strengthening its defense capabilities amid growing regional tensions. Taiwan plans to mass-produce the Barracuda 500 locally through a technology transfer agreement with Anduril Industries. The National Chung-Shan Institute of Science and Technology aims to keep production costs below $216,493 per unit. This cost-effective approach allows for scalable production, enhancing Taiwan's defense readiness. In addition to the Barracuda 500, Taiwan is expanding its defense capabilities by signing contracts and memorandums of understanding with US and Canadian companies. These agreements focus on advanced weaponry, including anti-drone rockets and underwater surveillance drones. Taiwan's increased defense spending aims to bolster its resilience and self-reliance in the face of potential conflicts.
Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have formalized a mutual defense pact, enhancing their long-standing security ties. The agreement, signed yesterday, commits both nations to consider any aggression against one as an attack on both, signaling a strategic shift amid regional tensions and concerns over US security commitments.
The Mutual Defense Pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan marks a significant milestone in their bilateral relations. Signed in Riyadh, the agreement underscores a shared commitment to regional security and stability. Both nations have pledged to consider any aggression against one as an act of war against both, thereby strengthening their deterrence capabilities. This move comes at a time when Gulf Arab states are increasingly questioning the reliability of the United States as their primary security guarantor. Recent events such as Israel's airstrike on Qatar have heightened these concerns, prompting Saudi Arabia to seek alternative security partnerships. The pact with Pakistan is seen as a strategic alignment to bolster defense capabilities and assert regional influence. While the agreement is comprehensive, its implications on nuclear deterrence remain ambiguous. Saudi officials have indicated that the pact encompasses all military means, but have not explicitly stated whether it includes nuclear deterrence provisions. This strategic ambiguity allows for flexibility in defense planning while maintaining regional stability. The partnership also reflects Saudi Arabia's broader efforts to diversify its alliances and reduce dependence on traditional Western security frameworks.
South Korea and China have held their first in-person diplomatic talks since President Lee Jae-myung took office. Foreign Ministers Cho Young and Wang Yi met in Beijing to discuss North Korea-China's potential participation in the upcoming APEC summit in Gyeongju and enhancing bilateral cooperation.
South Korea and China reaffirmed their strategic cooperative partnership as Foreign Minister Cho Hyun met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing in their first face-to-face talks of the Lee Jae-myung administration. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, Cho and Wang met for 3 hours on Wednesday evening local time for talks and dinner at the Diaoitai State Guesthouse. North Korea dominated the discussion. Cho emphasized the need for denuclearization and peace through dialogue and cooperation and urged Beijing to help bring Pyongyang back to dialogue. Wang replied that China would continue to play a constructive role for peace and stability on the peninsula and continue communicating with Seoul. Speaking to the media afterwards, Cho said Wang had provided an explanation regarding North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's visit to China earlier this month. While Beijing made no explicit mention of denuclearization, Cho noted China's policy on the peninsula appears unchanged. This would be reassuring for Seoul, as the North Korea-China summit raised concerns as statements from both sides did not address denuclearization, unlike in their previous 4 summits. Another focus was Chinese President Xi Jinping's possible visit to South Korea for the APEC leaders meeting in Gyeongju next month.
APEC being held this year in Korea and next year in China carries great significance. We hope President Xi will attend the Gyeongju leaders meeting.
Cho later told reporters he felt it was clear that President Xi intends to visit Korea at the end of October. Upon Cho's invitation, Wang replied that he looked forward to meeting again in Seoul, with October viewed as the likely timeframe. The Korean diplomat's visit to Beijing preceded protocol, as it was actually Wang's turn to visit Seoul first. This appears to signal South Korea's pragmatic diplomacy amid the heightened rivalry between the United States and China. Wang in fact highlighted China's version of multilateralism, signaling Beijing's efforts to offset US leadership.
We hope, together with Korea and the wider international community, to uphold a uncensored international system and to develop the global order in a fairer and more reasonable direction.
Cho explained that while South Korea will continue to strengthen its alliance with Washington, it will also pursue the mature development of Seoul-Beijing relations based on national interest and pragmatism. He also stressed the need to respect mutual concerns, objecting to China's unauthorized structures in the Yellow Sea. Wang replied that consultations are already underway and that the issue will be properly managed. The 2 ministers also discussed shifting economic cooperation from a vertical division of labour to a more horizontal partnership, with the aim of directly benefiting their citizens.
ABC has indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live after host Jimmy Kimmel's remarks about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk drew sharp criticism from Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr. The decision follows pressure from the Trump administration and broadcaster Nexstar Media Group.
ABC said it was pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air after comments by the show's late-night host about Charlie Kirk's assassination. The influential right-wing activist was shot dead at an event at a Utah university on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was arrested after a 33-hour manhunt and formally charged for Kirk's murder this week. In his Monday night monologue, Kimmel said, quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it." According to voter records, Robinson was a registered voter but was not affiliated with a political party. Kimmel also criticized Trump's mourning of Kirk, playing this video of the president taking questions from reporters on the White House lawn a day after the shooting.
May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
ABC's decision comes as Trump has repeatedly pressured broadcasters to stop airing content he has found objectionable and called on the Federal Communications Commission to pull licenses from stations. Earlier on Wednesday, the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, had urged local broadcasters to stop airing Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC. He suggested the commission could open an investigation as a result and that broadcasters could potentially be fined or lose their licenses if there was a pattern of distorted comment. In a Wednesday social media post, Trump celebrated the decision, congratulating ABC for, quote, "finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Meanwhile, a number of Democratic lawmakers criticized ABC's decision, saying that free speech was under attack. Kimmel did not respond to a Reuters request for comment.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. Israeli forces have intensified their ground offensive in Gaza City, with overnight airstrikes resulting in at least 16 deaths, including women and children, according to local hospital officials. The escalation comes as Israel opens a new 48-hour evacuation route for civilians amid ongoing military operations.
Gaza City razed to the ground by Israel. The expansion of Israel's military offensive in the area causing panic among residents who've been displaced numerous times during the course of the war and now have nowhere to flee.
The situation is very difficult for us and we have no money at all. My father's in poor health and needs help to push the handcart. There's no safe place in Gaza, and we'll have to sleep on the street like others tonight.
Up until now, Israel urged residents to evacuate via a coastal road, but now the Israeli army claims it's established a temporary transportation route, which will remain open for 48 hours ending at noon on Friday. The so-called Safe Corridor cuts across the Gaza Strip. But residents who have no choice but to take it aren't sure if they will be safe, as in the past these too have come under attack by Israel.
There is no safe place anywhere in Gaza. We don't know where our fate will lead to, and I can't be sure the place I'm heading to is really safe. As long as Israel wants it, their so-called safe zones will become targets of attacks. Who can guarantee that Israel won't attack us?
Across Gaza, Israel's expanded military operation is felt and seen everywhere, with plumes of smoke which continue to billow in the distance while jets and helicopters hover in the air. Israel's army announced it struck over 150 targets in Gaza City since Tuesday. The latest escalation comes as Israel faces renewed international pressure and fresh accusations of carrying out a genocide in Gaza.
The Trump administration has authorized its first U.S. weapons aid to Ukraine under a NATO-funded program supplying air defense systems from U.S. reserves. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin oversaw massive Zapad 2025 exercises with Belarus, warning NATO is already at war with Russia amid rising East European tensions.
The U.S. will supply weapons to Ukraine paid for with funds from NATO's European members for the first time. Previous shipments were those approved by the Biden administration. On Tuesday local time, Washington and its NATO European partners announced they will launch a new procurement system worth about $1 billion called the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List. Under this plan, Ukraine submits a list of urgently needed weapons. NATO allies cover the cost by paying the US government, and the US delivers the weapons from its reserves. Reuters reports the program is designed to provide as much as $10 billion worth of military support. While the exact details of the approved weapons have not been disclosed, air defense systems are believed to be included. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has made a rare appearance overseeing the Russia-Belarus joint military exercises. The visit comes as Moscow claims that NATO is already at war with Russia. Putin visited the Melino training ground in Russia's Nizhny Novgorod region, where he observed joint military exercises with Belarus as part of the Zapad 2025 operation. He stated that the drills involved approximately 100,000 personnel. Putin addressed the troops saying that the exercises are to train the unconditional protection of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and defense against any aggression towards the Union state, referring to the alliance between Russia and Belarus. The Russian president had earlier accused NATO of being in a de facto war with his country, citing the alliance's supply of weapons, training, and political support to Ukraine.
In a landmark ruling, a Colombian court has held 7 former leaders of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia accountable for the kidnappings of tens of thousands during the group's decades-long conflict with the state. This decision marks a significant step in Colombia's ongoing efforts toward justice and reconciliation.
After 7 years of deliberation, the JEP, or Jurisdiction for Peace, has finally passed judgment against 7 former FARC leaders.
They are given the maximum sanction allowed under this justice model, 8 years of special sanctions. What happened was unjustifiable and inhuman. This ruling not only marks the closure of a judicial chapter, but also opens a new page for our nation's memory, justice and peace.
The JEP is a transitional justice mechanism created to try the FARC. The former guerrillas have been found guilty of kidnapping more than 21,000 people and treating those prisoners inhumanely. Crimes that they first admitted to in 2022. They won't face prison time, but instead will have their movements restricted and will have to help in the search for those still missing. This leniency is due to the peace agreement made between the FARC and the Colombian state in 2016. The JEP is accused by many of lacking in severity towards the FARC. Franco-Colombian politician Ingrid Betancourt, who was imprisoned by the rebels between 2002 and 2008, says she's furious at the result.
I feel humiliated, mocked. We've been waiting for justice to be served for many years. We've not had justice in any of its forms. The judges have not contributed to the truth.
Since 1964, the conflict in Colombia has caused hundreds of thousands of deaths. While the FARC has respected the agreement, other guerrilla groups continue to clash with the army and police, disrupting the peace in the country.
Peru has evacuated approximately 1,600 tourists from a train station serving the Inca citadel of Machu Picchu after local protests escalated into clashes with the police. The UNESCO World Heritage Site, receiving around 4,500 visitors daily, has been temporarily disrupted as authorities manage the situation.
A dream trip to Peru's #1 tourist attraction that had turned sour ended after tourists had been stuck overnight near Machu Picchu due to a railway line blocked by protesters. Some 900 were stranded at the nearest railway station. They were told their only option was to walk several kilometres and arrange their own transport from there, leaving many frustrated.
I don't even know if agreeing to that walk would guarantee transport afterwards. And in my case, I can't do it because my wife is pregnant. So for me personally, it's not feasible.
Still, there was sympathy from some for the protesters.
Well, for us, the situation is horrible, but I think it's the right and it's important to do this strike here. And it's always so that the companies get a lot of money from the tourists, and the people who are working here, they don't get anything.
The rail line had been blocked by residents who were angry at a shuttle bus contract being taken off a local company. Some had clashed with police who tried to clear the tracks. The protesters decried local authorities, who they say refused to listen.
We are not criminals. We are residents of this area. We are not carrying machetes or knives. We are not attacking anyone. But unfortunately, no authority is listening to us. What can we do?
Authorities had managed to temporarily unblock the railway line on Monday night and allow 1,400 tourists to be evacuated, but others were not so lucky. Machu Picchu, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, has in recent times often been the scene of protests. The complex was closed for 25 days in January 2024 due to demonstrations over the impeachment and arrest of then-President Pedro Castillo.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. The premiere of Dancing with the Stars Season 34 lit up the ballroom with high-energy performances. Robert Irwin, son of the late Steve Irwin and brother to Bindi Irwin, captivated audiences with his debut dance, following in Bindi's footsteps, who won the competition a decade ago.
A new star is born. Robert Irwin, son of crocodile hunter Steve and brother of Bindi, stole the show last night. Robert has big dance shoes to fill. Bindi won the competition 10 years ago.
Bindi and Derek!
There he is at age 10 in the audience back in 2015. Last night, Bindi was there for her brother.
Taking a moment with his sister, Bindi.
It's Ilaria Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's wife Ilaria also impressed the judges with her moves. He was there with two of their kids in Los Angeles cheering Mom on. Just hours before the live show, one of the three judges, Carrie Ann Inaba, announced, "I will not be at the show as I'm feeling quite under the weather." She missed quite a performance.
In a remarkable turn of events, Carrie Edwards defied the odds and won a substantial Powerball jackpot, attributing her success to consulting ChatGPT for her number selection. In a heartfelt tribute to her late husband, a 9/11 Pentagon responder who passed away from dementia in 2023, Edwards is donating the entire $150,000 prize to charity, including a cause close to home.
She's the granny who just won big.
Hello.
Carrie Edwards defied the odds, winning a Powerball jackpot.
This is Powerball. I was shocked. I was surprised. I knew it was like a divine windfall.
ChatGPT, that's the popular artificial intelligence app.
So I had my buddy ChatGPT help me with the numbers. He said, "You know it's all about luck, right?" He said, "Lucky is still lucky." But he said, "Here's some numbers you can play with."
And she did. So what's she doing with all that cash?
I'm giving it all away, $150,000.
Say what?
I did have a fleeting minute when I won about, I could do half. And then all of a sudden this just voice said, "Nope. You got to give it all away."
That's right. She's donating all the money to 3 charities, including one very close to her heart. Her husband, Steve, died from dementia in 2023.
He started having symptoms at 57. They diagnosed him at age 59 with frontotemporal degeneration, and it's a terminal dementia.
Steve was a firefighter in Fairfax County, Virginia, and responded to the terrorist attack on the Pentagon on 9/11. He took this extraordinary photo.
It's his guys that rolled the flag down the side of the Pentagon. All he ever wanted to do was help people.
Now she's helping people with her Powerball jackpot.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Prithika Sivakumar, and we'll leave you tonight with the visuals of stars shining at Busan Film Festival's 30th anniversary. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Anuradhi Vikramasinghe will be joining you next with the Nightly Business Report. Thank you for watching. Have a very great night.